Start your week with a triple shot of good vibes. This is the Project Joy podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. Thanks for joining me. And now it's time for this week's story of joy. I had so much fun this last week. Well, it's really been more than just this last week. It started this past month so far. I have had so much fun reconnecting with people from my past. I've been really intentional about making phone calls and getting on video chat with people that I went to school with. And in particular, I talked to three different, I almost said girls, but we're all women now. Like it's a different time. Talked to a friend from college. I talked to someone that I was pretty close with in middle school, and then someone else who's been in my life a pretty long time, it's really interesting because, even the people that I was super close with on many different levels back then, that we're talking about 25 years ago, and more, that we're different people now. We have very different lives. We have very different belief systems, but it's so much fun to go back and have that connection, have those, hey, do you remember when, reminiscing about different things, and then catching up for a minute and just saying, like, how are your kids doing? What are you up to? What are the different things going on in your life? And it's really fun. It's really awesome and great to connect with people on that level. And it's like for a moment, no time has passed. And then you have those moments where, you'll talk about one thing and you'll think, okay, we're on completely different pages with that now. But there's still so much joy to be found there when you can have those moments to reminisce. It's just been a blast. We'll be back in just a minute for more of the Project Joy podcast. What's up, everyone? It's Jessica here, your host of the Project Joy podcast and, of course, The Breakthrough Show. I want to take a moment and thank all of our supporters here at the show. With your financial support, we are able to expand the show and reach more people with the hopes of inspiring our audience members to change their lives for the better and know they are supported during times of breakthrough. We welcome our one-time contributions to our show by sending a PayPal to business@thebreakthroughshow.com, or you can join us at patreon.com/thebreakthroughshow, where you'll be rewarded for your regular contribution with things like our exclusive community, Soul Connection Collective, merchandise discounts, fun shout-outs on the show, and more. On behalf of everyone here at The Breakthrough Show and its network, we thank you for your generous support. And now back to the podcast. Welcome back to the Project Joy podcast with your host, Jessica Dugas. I'm super excited to be back with you for another episode today. This is episode 31. Today is Monday. Where am I? I don't know. Monday, August 17th, 2020. And we're talking about my absolute favorite topic, which is choices. Joy in choices. Now, it's so awesome. I've said this before, I'll say it again, especially if anybody's new. I came up with these topics last year, at the end of last year, when I knew that I was going to do Project Joy this year, and had no idea how, and the same thing has gone for the Breakthrough Show throughout these last 4 seasons as well. Had no idea how cool it was going to be to see these topics that were thought of ahead of time come to be so relevant in the moment. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. Choices is something that is always a hot topic for me. That's always something that I've talked about with my community, with my clients, and therefore has always started with me, with myself, because we can get into situations, circumstances, we can go to places, we can be involved in specific relationships, and in the midst of that, our humanity says, this sucks. This is horrible. This is so bad. Why am I having to go through this? Why am I having to be involved with this person? Whatever it is, our humanity is saying, this is a horrible situation. This is a horrible person, whatever. And we immediately go in the rabbit hole of how bad everything is. My friend Oleg Lohid, that was on the Breakthrough Show this last season, he was actually on season 4, episode 4 of the show. You can check that out at thebreakthroughshow.com. He always asks very poignant questions. And the other last week he was made a little video about change being inevitable, and he said, how do you, he tagged me and he said, how do you look at the changes in your life? Do you look at them as opportunities or setbacks or something else? And I commented, changes are choices, period. And the reason I say that is because when we are put in a, when we are in a situation, when we are in a new relationship, and we are in when certain things happen, when changes happen, all that is the universe saying, you have a choice to make here. Because the power within ourselves really does lie within that ability to make choices. Now, you may think, well, and I always use this example because it is absolutely, you know, when you try to make a point about something, people like to throw extremes at you if they don't like what you're saying, right? And so somebody once said to me, you know, well, obviously if I'm kidnapped, I don't have a choice. You do have a choice in how you react to it. You have a choice on how you're living every day. In fact, I think it was Elizabeth Smart, or there was a kidnap story. I think it was that one that I was watching a long time ago, and they had asked her, like, how did you survive? How did you get through? And she's like, literally, it was like choices. It was the choices that she made every day to do certain things. So even if it's the extreme like that, where you are thrown into a situation where you feel like you don't have control, you feel like, okay, I can't get out of here. You have a choice of how you react, what you do, how you spend your day, where your thoughts go. You have those choices available to you. And so the reason why I feel like the the idea of choices can bring us so much joy is because that is where we find our power, our control, and different things in our lives. And so it's really it's a beautiful thing. Now, somebody said to me yesterday, because this whole idea of choices came up in another video that I was doing recently, but the somebody had said to me, well, sometimes the choices suck. And so what do you do then? What do you do then if you're in a situation and you know you have to make a choice, and every choice that you're presented with is not a choice that you want? Now, I say, come up with another choice. Like, my creativity kicks in and I'm like, you got to, but again, that comes down to your choice and mindset, your choice in how you're viewing the situation, your choice in how you're you know, you look at the things panned out in front of you. Now you can say, yep, each one of these choices sucks and I'm going to sit here and feel bad about it. That's your prerogative to do that. But there's so much joy to be found in either one, saying, I don't accept these choices that are laid out in front of me. I'm going to go ahead and create another choice for myself. And there's some joy in power and creativity right there. And or saying, you know what, these may not have been the choices I would have chosen, and I may not be able to tap into some creativity right now and come up with something else to create another choice to create. So I'm going to find some joy in the fact that I actually have things to choose from here. And I want to add this in because I think this is really important. If you find yourself often being in relationships, again, we're talking about a few different things here: relationships, circumstances, places, situations. If you find yourself in those places and you often feel like I don't have a choice, if you have difficulty finding choices, if you have difficulty seeing what's in front of you or tapping into that creativity if necessary, I think that we need to be more mindful of who we are spending time with, because what I found is when I was in those situations, a lot of the people that I was surrounded with were also people that were the same, that would say, I don't have a choice here. And they would just do whatever. They wouldn't try to create anything. They wouldn't try to find the joy in these choices that we have to make. And so I would say to look at your surroundings, look at who you're spending time with. And if you've got someone in your life that always seems to be, joyful about choices or finding a new way to do things or very creative, ask them to look at your life, look at your circumstance, look at whatever it is that you're feeling stuck in, and say to them, if you're looking in, what are some choices that you see? What's something that you see for my life here? Because a lot of times if we're stuck in that situation of where we can't see our choices, we can't find the joy there, we need someone from that outside perspective to look at our lives and say, you're totally missing this, because it's all too easy to be in the humanity of it. I want to feel so bad because, Shiraz will tell you from Rewriting Reality, there's a lot of people that have been on the show that will tell you that if you are not seeing if you're not seeing choices, if you're not understanding how you can get out of something, that you are getting something from being in it. Absolutely. And that's a whole other topic, a whole other kick in the rear end this morning. But there is so much joy to be found in choices, and you really do have so many beautiful choices to make. And the comment that I made on my video that I did on my personal Facebook page yesterday, I've been doing these video a day for the last 153 days of 2020. I was talking specifically about the fact that we have some astrological happenings going on, and there's a lot of doom and gloom type posts going around on social media about, well, Uranus is in retrograde, so all of these things are going to happen and all this stuff's going to come up. And yes and no. And it's like, what are you going to do with it? And so all I said was this: when these things happen, when the bad things happen in our lives, of course, we are going to have those human experiences of feeling sad, angry, frustrated, mad, all of these different human things that we feel. But all we need to try to remember, and this is such a huge mindset shift that is when we can grasp this, it can change our lives completely. Moving from that space of saying, you've got all this stuff going on. Yes, you're pissed off about it, but you have all these choices. You have a decision to make. Here's your power. Here's where it lies. It's right here in the joy in making choices. We'll be back in just a minute for more of the Project Joy podcast.
Did you know that the Breakthrough Show not only has its show every Friday, but that our Facebook page is home to other shows like Project Joy Podcast that we like to call Breakthrough Extras? You can tune in to our next Breakthrough Extra by joining Crystal Cockerham for Ask Crystal at 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern this coming Thursday and every third Thursday of the month. During this live show, you'll be able to call in to the provided number or use the comment section to ask Crystal to chime in and provide guidance on topics like transformation, the divine feminine, the sacred masculine, personal development, spiritual development, and so much more. Find out more information at thebreakthroughshow.com or tune in live this coming Thursday at 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern at facebook.com/breakthroughshow or click the link in the show notes. And now back to the podcast.
Welcome back to the Project Joy podcast with your host, Jessica Dugas. I'm so excited to be with you for another episode next week. So coming up next week on the Project Joy podcast, we're going to be talking about joy in surprises. And there may be some surprises in store. So you'll just have to wait and be surprised. Isn't that a nice intro there? A nice a wait kind of thing, where you're going to have to just be surprised next week. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that with joy and surprises. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you taking time for you to hear about joy and also learn about how you can experience more joy in your life. And until next week, guys, please take a moment to rate, subscribe, comment, and share where available, and make joy a priority in your life today and every day. We'll see you next time. You've been listening to the Project Joy podcast with your host, Jessica Dugas. We'll see you again next Monday and every Monday for another episode to start your week off right.